The escape happened just before dawn. Rain pounded against the walls of Black Ridge Prison as alarms screamed through the corridors. Guards rushed through the halls, shouting orders, but the damage had already been done. Cell Block D was open, and the most dangerous man inside it was gone. His name was Victor Hale. The media called him the Butcher. 5 murders before he was caught, all brutal, all carefully planned, and every victim found with the same cold signature, a deep knife wound and a message carved into the wall beside them. When he escaped, the entire city froze in fear. Police checkpoints filled the streets. Helicopters circled above neighborhoods. Officers knocked on doors warning families to stay inside after dark. But Victor Hale didn't hide. He hunted. 3 nights after the escape, a shop owner closing his store heard footsteps behind him. By morning, the police found the body. Another message on the wall: the butcher had returned. Panic spread through the city. Parents pulled children out of schools. Streets emptied after sunset. The news stations ran Victor Hale's face on every channel. Captain Daniel Ross stood inside the police command center staring at the evidence board. Photos of victims, maps, witness statements. Ross had arrested Hale 5 years ago. He knew how the man thought, and that terrified him. "He's not running," Ross said quietly. Detective Kim looked at him. "Then what is he doing?" Ross's voice hardened. "He's finishing what he started." Another call came 2 nights later. Gunshots reported at an abandoned factory outside the city. When officers arrived, they found 2 bodies. Victor had killed again. But this time, someone had shot back. One of the factory workers had carried a handgun. The bullet had grazed Hale's shoulder. Ross studied the blood trail carefully. "He's injured," Kim said. Ross nodded slowly. "And that means he'll get desperate." The hunt intensified. Police searched every warehouse, motel, and alleyway. Patrol cars doubled across the city. Officers slept in shifts. But Victor stayed ahead. He knew how police worked, and he loved the chase. Then one night, a patrol officer spotted a stolen truck outside an abandoned shipping yard near the docks. Ross arrived minutes later. The air smelled like rust and salt water. Containers towered like dark walls. Ross checked his rifle. "He's here," he said. His team moved quietly between the containers, flashlights cutting thin beams through the darkness. Every step echoed. Every shadow looked alive. Suddenly, a gunshot exploded through the yard. One officer fell behind a crate. "Sniper!" someone shouted. More shots fired. Bullets slammed into metal containers, sparking in the night. Victor Hale stepped from behind a stack of crates holding a stolen rifle. His eyes were wild, his face twisted with a smile that didn't belong to a sane man. "You should have left me in prison," he yelled. He fired again. Officers scattered for cover as bullets ripped through the yard. Ross crouched behind a steel container, heart pounding. "Flank him," he ordered into his radio. 2 officers moved around the left side. Victor noticed. He spun and fired, forcing them back. The psychopath moved like a predator, fast, unpredictable, fearless. Gunfire echoed across the docks like thunder. Ross leaned out and fired 2 precise shots. Victor ducked, but one bullet struck his leg. He stumbled, roaring in anger. "You think you can stop me?" Victor screamed. He grabbed another weapon from his bag, a shotgun, and blasted toward the police line. The explosion sent officers diving to the ground. Metal rang from the impact. Ross knew this couldn't last. If Victor escaped again, more people would die. Ross stood, aiming carefully despite the chaos. "Victor!" he shouted. The killer turned. For a brief second, their eyes locked across the dark yard. "You had your chance," Ross said. Victor raised the shotgun. Ross pulled the trigger. The rifle cracked. Victor staggered backward, but he didn't fall. He fired wildly as he tried to run deeper into the shipping yard. More officers opened fire. Bullets tore through the air. The gunfight lasted seconds, but it felt like forever. Finally, Victor collapsed beside a container. The shotgun fell from his hands. Silence slowly returned to the docks. Officers approached cautiously. Victor Hale lay on the ground, breathing heavily, blood spreading beneath him. His eyes still burned with madness. Ross stood over him. "You should have stayed in that cell," Ross said quietly. Victor tried to laugh, but the sound never came out. Moments later, the ambulance lights arrived, but the paramedics already knew the butcher's reign of terror was over. The city woke the next morning to the news. The killer who had haunted them for years was finally gone. No prison, no trial, just the end of a monster who refused to stop. Later that evening, Ross stood on the roof of the police station watching the sun set over the city. Detective Kim joined him. "It's over," she said. Ross nodded slowly. "Some people can't be saved." Below them, the streets slowly filled again with life. Cars, families, laughter. For the first time in weeks, the city could breathe, because the hunt for the butcher had finally ended. The end. The